control the game far greater than any two players remaining in the postseason. So his ability to use his strength now to get the shot he wants, to take advantage of the matchup that he wants, is just as important, because he does it at pivotal times, as it is putting up those ridiculous, gaudy stat lines that he had to back in the day when you felt like if he didn't do it, they had no shot. That's the difference.
And luck is the residue of design. Like, it seems like LeBron gets lucky a lot. This role of player comes through. Lonnie Walker the fourth last night. But at a certain point, man, it can't be like Tom Brady, right? At a certain point over 20 years, you go, all right, wait a minute. No one gets that lucky. His presence is doing something on the team, is it not?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And it's still the ball's still in his hands, and it's his job to come up the floor every time and make the read that he wants. And this is where we're going to go in this possession. Even it was funny taking him out of the game for 20 seconds. He didn't even sit down.
Yeah, right.
Right, and he walks by the bench and says something to the coaching staff, and they thought, you know what, we probably should put him back in. Next dead ball, he's
show here in Game 4, triple-double. Game 4 is a tight one. Walker hits another one. It's the Lonnie Walker game, and a three-point game. Curry a long three, no, and that's it.
We're just a resilient bunch. We just stayed in the fight. I'm tired as hell, man. Get out my face.
So back here with Tim Legler, and Tim, I got to tell you something about LeBron and the questions I had going into these playoffs. He has come back down to earth, and he's with the mere mortals now. And by mortals, I mean Giannis and Steph and, the greatest players of all time. But he used to be so far ahead of the field, right? And now he's back with that pack, and he's generally not considered the best player in the world. But I wondered aloud before these playoffs, when all is said and done, might we not look at LeBron and say, that's still the guy I want? That's still, if I could have anyone on my team, that's the guy I want. Legs, that's how I feel right now watching him. And I know he's struggling compared to how he used to play, but in pivotal moments on defense, on offense, his IQ, he's still what he's able to do physically. His team is on the verge of beating the defending champs.
It's just different for him now because the conversation around Anthony Davis, right? So think now, we often say, well, Anthony Davis has to be their best player tonight for them to win. Anthony Davis has to be the best player in the series. We never said that about Kyrie Irving when he was playing with him in Cleveland.
Harden finished with a tidy 42 points, 8 boards, and 9 assists. NBA reporter Timmy Goodtimes, Tim Bontemps, is in Boston covering the Sixers and Celtics, and with me now. Tim, what needs to happen for the Sixers to take Game 5 in a series that should probably already be over, right? Celtics should have already swept. How do the Sixers go up in this series?
I don't know if I'd quite go that far, Max, but certainly with the way this series sits right now at 2-2, for the Sixers to win this game on the road in Game 5, I think they're going to need a massive performance from the newly minted MVP of the league, Joel Embiid. Now, as you've very famously laid out on the show, James Harden has had 2 massive games so far in this series, has helped propel Philly to the point where they now can come here to Boston and potentially steal back home court. But as Joel Embiid has worked his way back in, his fatigue has crept in over the second halves of these last couple games. He's going to need to be able to put together a full 48 minutes. But you still look at that Game 4, he had 34 and 14 in a game he didn't think he played well. I think if you spin this forward to Game 5, if he has a big game tonight for the Sixers, I think they're going to have a chance to come out of here with a win.
So, are you saying, all right, let's ask this way. Who has the edge tonight?
I think you have to give Boston the edge, Max. Frankly, you guys were just talking.
Winning.
They're now have the second best odds to win the whole thing, the Lakers. And here it is. And that's probably good. Like you see the Celtics plus 165, Lakers plus 325. I'll bet you if you ask most people, whoever wins Nuggets Suns, would you favor them over the Lakers? The answer would be yes. But meantime, they're deadlocked 2-2. Lakers are up 3-1.
But I think this, if Denver had won the last game and they were up 3-1 right now, where it looked more certain that they were going to advance, that number might be different. They might be second on that list or dead even with the Lakers in terms of odds behind the Celtics. But the fact that series is still up in the air and the Lakers look like they've taken control, now the Lakers thrust to the forefront in the West.
Is it me, or does it seem like there's been a bunch of attention on, could you imagine, Steph versus KD? Or the Lakers-Nuggets rematch from the bubble, right? That we haven't talked enough about the obvious, oh my God, matchup. LeBron KD on evenly matched teams in the Western Conference Finals? Are you kidding me?
The plot lines for whatever this could turn out to be, pretty incredible. And by the way, as we sit here right now, I still believe any of these 4 teams could still win the West.
Absolutely.
And do you ever say that at this stage when you've seen, 4 or 5 games in the second round? By now, you kind of go, okay, it's going to be one of these 2 teams. Any one of these teams can end up in the finals, and I'm not going to be shocked.
And I'd say 3 of the 4 in the East, I wouldn't be shocked.
I don't know if I'd go that far with the Heat.
Jimmy Butler.
I don't know
Jimmy
if I'd go that
him
far
a little bit. Jimmy Butler, a little bit. The 76ers won a thrilling Game 4.
Left in these playoffs. But as we have also talked about a lot, the Celtics mess around. They leave the door open for opponents to come back on them. We saw it in Game 7 of the conference finals last year. We saw it in the finals against Golden State. We saw it in the first round against Atlanta, and we saw it in Game 4 against the Sixers when they were up 5 with 2 minutes to go and let that game get away. So I think Boston's going to win tonight. I think they're going to go on to win this series, but they have opened the door for Joel Embiid to have a special moment tonight. And we'll see if the big fella can come through and give the Sixers a chance to close this thing out on Thursday at home.
Thanks, Tim. I'll see you soon in studio. I'll get you right back in this studio as soon as possible. Our basketball power index has the Celtics bouncing back tonight. ESPN Analytics gives Boston a 62% chance to take Game 5. And I agree with those analytics. I got to tell you, I hear what Bontemps just laid out, Legs, and it's right. Like, Embiid really hasn't played like Embiid yet, and it's knotted up. But it just feels like the second quarter can come around in a 1 or 2 possession game, and you can blink and you go, how are the Celtics up 20? Like the roof can cave in because of this barrage of threes when they let it go. Should the Sixers first of all, do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. I think this is going to be an interesting one for me tonight. I think this is going to be an X-factor game. I think all the top guys. I mean, James Harden. I don't want to discredit him anymore because he's had these 2 amazing games this postseason. We know how I feel about him in the pressure, under pressure throughout his career, right?
Same.
Those are real things, and the fact that he just did what he did the other night doesn't erase those. They did happen. It does leave a little bit of skepticism. I don't think he'll be as good as he was in 1 and 4, but he's not going to be as bad as he was in 2 and 3 either. He'll be good. Embiid, I think, is going to be strong. Tatum and Brown play great. So then you go to the next layer of guys, right? Derek White, Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart. Like, they have more guys that can have those big moments than Philly does. Maxi'd be the other guy. He's 10 for 33. I think Derek White's the guy I'm looking at tonight because he had great moments in their playoff run last year. He hasn't had one of those 20-point games when everybody else is kind of locked down pretty good. He could be a major difference maker too.
So, Legs, I don't remember if you were one of the guys who was saying this, but I agreed with this thought. Actually, how far the Sixers go will come down to something that you just touched on. Can Harden hit big shots when it matters most? Right. And you're right, it doesn't erase failures in the past, but he is writing a new chapter. And so far, so good. Are you more confident now that he can hit those big shots?
I am more confident now because I thought Game 1, he was given a little bit of a break from the standpoint of the pressure was taken off because Embiid didn't play. We talked about that.
Right.
I thought that relaxed him. Right?
Yes.
And it was a major performance, and he got it done. 2 and 3, that was more kind of like what I've seen out of James Harden throughout his career. But what he did the other night, when I would not have laid any money that he could have played like that in that moment, because it wasn't even just like the guy had a monster game. Found it every night. He's got something that could be spectacular right now in these moments. So, but the question is, does he have 2 more of those games in this series?
Against a better team, let's face it. And I'm rooting for it because I would hate to see a guy that great go down in his career so he couldn't get over the top when it mattered most. I love to see what's going on here. And this has been, as you mentioned, one of the most unpredictable playoffs I can remember in the NBA. Coming up with Aaron Rodgers now in New York, could Jordan Love be the next all-pro quarterback to come out of Green Bay? Our football experts weigh in next.
Go for 40, every night in a series. Yeah. There are nights now maybe he gets a little overshadowed by an Anthony Davis or even a fourth quarter performance by